There seems to be no end to this climactic battle because the ultra-fused god is now going to apply its wrath. Hello there, beautiful friends from around the world. I'm going to be your host, Blackenfist, and this is my review of episode 65. The battle truly expands to godlike proportions in this episode. Of course, this is Dragon Ball, and one staple of Dragon Ball fights specifically are beam struggles. This whole episode is really just a showcase of Zamasu's new fused form and what the new abilities that he is able to do. One of those abilities are these death rays that he shoots from behind the halo thing. I'm not sure what it is. It was a very nice touch. The other ability seems to be a hail of energy needles, piercing lances. I'm not sure what it was. Regardless, it was interesting and original to that character. Now, I will say that Dragon Ball Super, for the most part, hasn't had many strong beam struggles. One thing they've lacked a lot in the past is they had no real sense of weight to them. There wasn't enough push and pull to them. I will say that the beam struggles in this episode probably are the best in the entire series. I still don't think that they reached the levels they were in the past in like Z or in Dragon Ball. The main reason I really don't think that the beam struggles are not to that level is mainly animation issues, because although the beam struggles have been greatly improved in this episode, and the only thing holding them back is they just need to be a little bit more well animated to where they can finally be on that Z level. And I'm not saying that Z had great animation or anything, because it didn't. At times it was also pretty bad, but Super hasn't gotten to that level yet, and one of the things they have struggled on is beam struggles, which is one reason I suspect that, if you guys haven't noticed, a lot of the Super fights have gone out of their way to avoid beam struggles and not show them. Well, I mean, you can only do that for so long until you could have to finally do it. This is Dragon Ball after all, and they finally do it, and honestly, they did it in a very satisfactory manner. Goku and Vegeta aren't the only ones who take up the spotlight, because we do pan over to all the rest of the humans, and more importantly, I guess Yajirobe, since he's the only reoccurring character that we know out of these, besides the two little children. I do think that those scenes were important to establish just how much havoc Zamasu was putting upon the Earth, and also to demonstrate the power that Zamasu has, you know, that it's affecting all these people that are not necessarily within the vicinity of Zamasu. It's always a trick of Dragon Ball to show how powerful a villain is, or how powerful a character is, really, by going to a relatively far off place, or a place that's not where the battle is taking place, and their energy is affecting their situation. So that's just a common thing that we see here, and I thought it was effective. And I really did appreciate that one of the survivors did bite the bullet, or bite the energy needle thing. One of Zamasu's new techniques. Regardless, someone died in this episode, and all I can do is give it an A-OK for that. But Zamasu isn't done unveiling all of his new techniques, because now he unveils his ultimate technique, or at least the strongest technique that he has shown us up to this point, where some dark entity, angel-like thing appears behind him. Not really sure what it was. It was cool imagery though. This new entity that Zamasu conjures up, I don't know if it's really an entity or not, starts shooting rays of death upon Vegeta and Goku. Of course, Vegeta and Goku do overcome, but not without a great cost. This is when Trunks steps in, and in tribute to his father does the Gallic Gun. But not missing an opportunity to help out his son, Vegeta also joins in the struggle. This was what I was saying back to the struggles, the beam struggles looking pretty good in this episode, because they did. I do like that even though Trunks and Vegeta were able to ward off Zamasu's attack, it didn't really have an effect on Zamasu. It really did remind me of the scene where Goku did the 20 times Kaioken against Frieza. It was very reminiscent to that scene, because although Frieza and Zamasu were impressed by their opponent's power, they weren't necessarily affected up to that point, which still leaves the villain in a great standing. You know, it still leaves the villain like, yeah, this guy's extremely powerful, but he's impressed for what they did. But of course, Vegeta goes and does his sacrifice and saves Trunks from a ray of death, establishing those bonds I see. This episode ends off with another great beam struggle between Goku and Zamasu, another great showcase of how Super has really been improving in these struggles, and really that's where the episode ends. Like I said before, the best beam struggling episode up to this point. I hesitate to call it the best action episode, but it's definitely up there. It's much better than the previous episode, and it's great climactic imagery. I mean, this really did feel like, wow, we're nearing the end. Of course, We're still got one more episode at least to go, which I don't think is going to end in the next episode, but regardless of that, there are some things in the next episode preview that are pretty interesting. Zamasu seems to go through another half transformation kind of deal, and of course Vegito shows up in the next episode. But anyway guys, if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to this channel because I will be bringing you more reviews like this one. And until next time guys, I'm Blackenfist,